And this is a Fox News Alert. Welcome to Hannity, and we are again reporting tonight from Las Vegas, where the motive for the deadliest mass shooting in the history of this country remains a mystery. Now, police just provided an update, but questions still remain tonight. What caused Stephen Paddock, a multimillionaire with no criminal record, to unleash hell on a crowd, killing 58 people and injuring over 500? Now, we'll tell you where we are in this investigation and where it stands. We'll examine all the evidence tonight, including a new crime scene photo. Plus, the suspect's girlfriend is back now in the United States and was questioned by authorities. Now, police are calling her a person of interest, and her lawyer has given a statement. We'll give you all the details. And also tonight, the president made a very emotional trip right here to Las Vegas to visit with victims, first responders, members of law enforcement, and hospital employees, many of the heroes in this town. In just a few minutes, you will actually meet a husband whose wife of 32 years died in his arms on Sunday at the concert. You'll also hear unbelievable stories of heroism. Plus, the liberal mainstream media, late-night comedians, Democrats, they continue to obnoxiously politicize this tragedy and push their agenda. We're going to tell you the truth about gun control, facts you will not hear anywhere else in this, on the media landscape anywhere today, and let's see if the left can handle that. All of that, much more in tonight's breaking news, opening monologue from Vegas. All right, so as we report tonight from Las Vegas, law enforcement has still not revealed the possible motive in this horrific mass shooting. And here's all the new information that we know tonight. The Clark County Sheriff, Joseph Lombardo, he said there is evidence that Stephen Paddock wanted to survive or escape. Now, the sheriff also called Stephen Paddock disturbed and dangerous, and authorities add that Paddock spent decades acquiring weapons and ammunition and was living, obviously, a secret life. We're also learning that Paddock had large amounts of an explosive called tannerite in his car. We'll get to that in a moment. And authorities are trying to piece together the final weeks of Stephen Paddock's life, including by examining his computer and his cell phone records. And according to a report, the gunman bought 33 of the 47 weapons he owned in the past year alone. Also, the Daily Mail has obtained 2 new crime scene photos. We must warn you tonight, they are very, very graphic. The first shows more guns on the floor inside the shooter's hotel room. Authorities have told us that 12 of these guns were modified to fire like an automatic weapon. There's also questions being raised about this photo. It shows the legs of the shooter and a piece of paper on a side table. And there is some speculation that it could be a note, but police are saying it's not a suicide note, but they didn't comment any further tonight. Also, the suspect's girlfriend, Mary Lou Danley, is back in the United States and has now been interviewed by the FBI. Now, Danley flew back to the U.S. from the Philippines last night, and tonight, her attorney read a statement on behalf of his client. Let's listen.
I knew Stephen Paddock as a kind, caring, quiet man. I loved him and hoped for a quiet future together with him. He never said anything to me or took any action that I was aware of that I understood in any way to be a warning that something horrible like this was going to happen.
Now, Ms. Danley's lawyer also explained that she traveled to the Philippines to visit her family. The lawyer said that Paddock bought her that ticket and explained why he wired money days before the shooting. Let's listen to this.
A little more than 2 weeks ago, Stephen told me he found a cheap ticket for me to the Philippines and that he wanted me to take a trip home to see my family. Like all Filipinos abroad, I was excited to go home and see family and friends. While there, he wired me money, which he said was for me to buy a house for me and my family. I was grateful, but honestly, I was worried that first, the unexpected trip home and then the money was a way of breaking up with me.
Now, Danley's family is also speaking out. They're saying that Paddock may have sent her out of the country to hide these horrific plans. Now, here's what her sisters had said earlier today. Take a look.
I know that she don't know anything as well like us. She was sent away. She was sent away so that she will be not there to interfere or put this planning.
Even know that she's going to the Philippines until Steve said, "Oh, Mary Lou, I found you a cheap ticket to the Philippines."
He sent her away so that he can plan what he's planning without interruptions. In that sense, I thank him for sparing my sister's life, but that won't be to compensate 59 people's life.
Now, this is a very interesting development, and it appears that Ms. Stanley could be the key to this entire investigation, because we don't know a whole lot about the main suspect. Stephen Paddock is like a ghost. He doesn't have a criminal record, and there doesn't appear to be any red flags in his past. Our own Adam Housley will join us later tonight with more details on where the investigation stands. Also, President Trump, as I mentioned, was in Vegas earlier today. He visited with victims in the hospital from Sunday's horrific attack. He also took time to honor all of the first responders who put themselves at great risk in order to protect their fellow Americans. Watch this.
On behalf of the grateful nation, Melania and I thank each and every one of you in law enforcement. In the depths of horror, we will always find hope in the men and women who risk their lives for ours. We pray for the recovery of the injured and those injured officers who so bravely threw themselves into danger when duty called. And we grieve the loss of the law enforcement personnel who were killed in this vicious attack. Here on earth, we are blessed to be surrounded by heroes. As one eyewitness recounted this week, while everyone else was crouching, police officers were standing up as targets, just trying to direct people and tell them where to go. The officers were standing up in the line of fire to help those in danger and to find out where those horrible shots were coming from. Words cannot describe the bravery that the whole world witnessed on Sunday night. Every hero saved so many lives. And believe me, a grateful nation thanks you.
You will meet some of those heroes right here on this program tonight. The president is right. The bravery of those who do put their lives in danger, the first responders, it exemplifies everything that is great about this country. And earlier today, President Trump also called for unity. Watch this.
Our souls are stricken with grief for every American who lost a husband or a wife, a mother or a father, a son or a daughter. We know that your sorrow feels endless. We stand together to help you carry your pain, but we cannot be defined by the evil that threatens us or the violence that incites such terror. We're defined by our love, our caring, and our courage. In the months ahead, we will all have to wrestle with the horror of what has unfolded this week, but we will struggle through it together. We will endure the pain together, and we will overcome together as Americans.
Now, the president, rightly, he's trying to bring the country, bring Americans together. But as we have been highlighting over the past couple of nights, you have people on the left, you have Democrats, the mainstream media. Of course, they don't do their job. Celebrities, late-night comedians, all instantaneously, impulsively politicizing this tragedy in every way possible. Now, the left in this country, they waited mere hours before they started playing this game of theirs and playing politics. Hillary Clinton is one of the leading voices in this left-wing political crusade, exploiting a tragedy. Don't believe me? Listen to her.
What we saw happen in Las Vegas was just another horrible example of, people with too many guns and too few restraints being able to now kill, I guess it's up to 58, and injure 500.
Democratic politicians and their best friends in the liberal media are also out in full force. They want gun control, and they want it now. Watch this.
First and foremost, We have to stop this dangerous gun agenda being brought forward by the majority party in the House.
We could do more extensive background checks. We could make the weapons themselves safer and less likely to have to be capable of shooting many people in a short period of time.
But also background checks and a ban on assault weapons and the high-capacity magazines.
Things like banning weaponry and modifications of weaponry that turn what might be a hunting gun into really an assault rifle.
You can't buy a Tommy gun. You can't buy a machine gun. Just move that line over to semi-automatics.
Correct.
Do you need a semi-automatic to hunt? What kind of hunting are you doing?
That's kind of a pulverized animal.
Can you imagine if we told the families of 9/11 after 9/11 that it wasn't the right time to address terrorism?
You're not a good parent if you have a gun in your house. You're not protecting your family. You're a bad parent if you have a gun in the house.
We've gotten hundreds of calls saying, do something. Yes, we should make this political. Now is the time.
And late-night comedian Jimmy Kimmel, he continues to try and blame the Second Amendment supporters for what happened in Vegas. By the way, Jimmy, how many security guards surround you when you're in front of a crowd every night? Take a look.
I do want to say something to these nuts who spent most of the day today on television and online attacking those of us who think we need to do something about the fact that 59 innocent people were killed. They say it's inappropriate to be talking about it because it's too soon. Well, maybe it's too soon for you because deep down inside, you know, in your heart, you know you bear some responsibility for the fact that almost anyone can get any weapon they want. Now you want to cover yourself until the storm of outrage passes. You can go back to your dirty business as usual, but it's not too soon for us because we're Americans, and last time I checked, the First Amendment is at least as important as the Second Amendment.
We'll talk about it tonight, and you're free to talk about anything you want, but you may learn facts. We'll educate you as to facts that you may not hear in your liberal bubble out there in Hollywood. The left in this country, so often feigning moral outrage and using victims to try and make a point about gun control because their political position is not backed up by facts. Liberals keep asking, well, why can't we have a discussion? Let's have the discussion with truth, information, facts, and data that the media will never tell you about in this country. Democrats say gun control leads to less violence. Well, if that's the case, then I'd like them to explain why cities with the highest murder rates in this country, with the strictest gun control in this country, that have run by Democrats for decades in this country, let's look at the numbers. For example, murder rate 2016, all these cities have Democratic mayors, have been run by liberals for years. Yet, when you look, their crackdowns on the Second Amendment have done nothing to stop the violence. Liberals, they also don't want you to know about these shocking statistics. For example, during the Obama presidency, over 3,900 murders in his adopted hometown of Chicago. We ran the names once on this program while everybody else ignored it. More than 18,000 people in Chicago who were shot only during the last 6 years of Obama's presidency. I only heard Obama talk about it, what, 2, 3, 4 times max during his presidency? Did you remember hearing people on the left speaking out about this out-of-control violence happening day in and day out in the city of Chicago? I don't remember. Now, there's a lot of hypocrisy going on about this issue. And we also have some charts provided to us by John Lott, Jr. He's the president of Crime Prevention Research and that center. He's an expert on the issue. He'll join us in a few minutes tonight. Now, look at this chart about the Chicago murder rate. Now, relative to the other 9 largest U.S. cities, the yellow vertical line that you see there indicates when they ban handguns. And as you can see, after gun control, over the years, the murder rate went up. Now, the same goes for Washington, D.C. As John Lott's research shows, D.C.'s murder rate relative to the other 48 large U.S. cities, excluding Chicago, went up after they banned handguns. We also have examples from foreign countries in case you're interested. Remember, after Great Britain, they banned handguns. The homicide rate, it spiked and then slowly began to go down, only slowly. And here's another example from Ireland. After that country passed gun control legislation, the murder rate actually increased. And then there's Jamaica. Look at how the murder rate also increased after they put gun control in place. There's also this revealing statistic out of France. They have some of the strictest gun control laws on the planet. And France has had more casualties from public shootings in 2015 than during the entire Obama presidency. And finally, the left, they love to say that giving people the right to carry doesn't prevent crime. But the figures, the truth, the data, it shows otherwise. Let's take a look. This chart shows violent crime before and after right to carry laws were enacted in the United States. And as you can see, having more citizens that are armed leads to a decrease in violent crime. Those are the facts. Here's another graphic on murder rates before and after right to carry laws were put into place. Now also, the U.S. murders have plunged as a result. And as John Lott Jr. points out, as more people in fact carry guns, you see further drops in both of those statistics. Now this is why this show will never be like the rest of the mainstream media. We actually care about truth, about facts. The left, they don't believe in your right as the American people to be responsible, that you have the right to defend yourself, your children, in your home, in your community. They only seem to believe in big government, not the individual, which is why they try to exploit these tragedies and rush to judgment to push what is a radical, rigid, leftist agenda that infringes on your constitutional rights, even though it is not supported by data, not supported by facts. It's beyond shameful. Another question, how many of these celebrities, how many of these late night comedians, how many of these politicians, when they go out in public, how often do they have armed guards with them or bodyguards with them? Really? The rest of us, most Americans, they can't afford that. Joining us now with reaction, President of the Crime Prevention Research Center, John Lott, and Fox News legal analyst Bob Massey. John, I'll start with you. You provided a lot of this research. How many years have you been investigating more guns, less crime? And I know you have many variations of your book that has come out.
I've been doing crime for about 30 years. Concealed handguns and other types of gun crimes I've been looking at for about 20 years or so.
All right, and you know, when you say this, it's almost like it's Alka-Seltzer in water. You say, if there's more guns, if people have a right to carry, if people have a right to defend themselves, there's going to be less crime. And in a liberal's mind, they say, that's just impossible. That's illogical. Explain why, in fact, your data proves out what to be true.
Well, look, I think people understand you can deter criminals if you have higher arrest rates, higher conviction rates, longer prison sentences, the death penalty, things that make it riskier for criminals to go and commit crime. But the fact that a victim might be able to go and defend themselves also makes it riskier for criminals to go and commit crime. I just give you a simple example. There's something called hot burglaries. These are burglaries that occur while the residents are in the dwelling. In the United States, only about 13% of burglaries occur while the residents are there. In a country like England, it's about 60%. And there's surveys that are done of burglars who have been caught in different countries. And American burglars spend about twice as long casing a home before they break in compared to their British counterparts. And the reason why they give it is that they're worried about getting shot. If nobody's at home, they don't have to worry about that. But if somebody's home and they break in, they have to worry about the person defending themselves. Their British counterparts don't have to worry about that, and so they don't care really whether somebody's in the home when they break in.
You know, Bob Massey, to a certain extent, this is common sense. Now, we have these school shootings.
Yes.
There are no gun zones. We've had a lot of the shootings that have taken place that we have covered. No gun zones, gun-free zones. We keep talking about it. Now, San Bernardino, I brought this up as an example. Let's put Vegas aside for a minute.
Okay.
San Bernardino, school shooting. The guy drops the clip. How many times do we hear that? To reload. Are the people safer if there's somebody trained in the use of a firearm? I've always said schools ought to hire retired military or police.
Well, certainly. Of course they should be, and they are, because if you're trained in it, you know how to defend yourself. And the thing that's so offensive about this is these late-night celebrities. I wish some of the casinos would ban them from performing in Las Vegas because they have no reverence for what just happened here. And the other thing you cover so often, Sean, is wasn't there a period of time where the Democrats controlled Congress when Obama just became president? If they were that concerned about it, why didn't they do it then? And now they laid off on us all these years later.
How did Obama ignore Chicago, his own adopted hometown? All right, so in the information we got from the presser just earlier, all right, so it seemed like the shooter, who seems like a ghost in many ways, all right, so he had long-distance rifles, He had modified them, but he also had handguns.
He did.
Seems like he probably wanted to escape and get away, would be my assumption.
Actually, they said, and I don't understand how he would have, but the sheriff actually said that there wasn't some type of escape he may have had planned. I'm not sure, based on the layout of that particular room or suite, how that would have happened. The thing that we did learn in that press conference was the bravery of that security guard. Because that security guard, man, big time bravery that probably really saved a lot of lives.
John, let me ask you, we heard about Tamarite, and I have a one-sheeter on this. Very explosive. I have somebody that was on the terrorist task force here in Vegas. He said, if in fact you have 20, 30 pounds of this, and you set it up right, and you fire a gun at it, it would be like napalm in the neighborhood. What can you tell us about it?
Well, look, I mean, this guy obviously put a lot of thought into a lot of different ways of killing people. He had bombs at home. He had explosives in his car, as you're talking about. You know, possibly if he hadn't been able to get a hotel room on that side of the hotel, who knows? He may have tried to drive his car into the crowd and try to set it off and kill people that way. You know, that's, you know, we see so many different ways.
He described it as, it would be like napalm.
Right, well, you'd have a
that
lot
was
of people
dropped into
burning
a
to
crowd.
death. Yeah, I mean, it would be a really horrible death. But I just wanted to mention one thing about the gun-free zone.
I'm up on a break, John.
Okay.
Yeah, quick on the gun-free zone, real quick.
Well, I mean, it's hard to ignore these things. We have statement after statement for these killers where they may be crazy, but they know they want to kill as many people as possible. And they explicitly talk about going after places where they know nobody with a gun there is going to be able to stop them. Their goal is to try to kill as many people as possible. And, you know, we hear so many times.
Sick and evil as that is.
Yeah, we say so many times.
But I ask all these people, what are they going to do if somebody breaks into their house?
Exactly.
How are they going to defend themselves?
Exactly.
Would you rather be trained in the use of firearm to protect your young children? I would. Don't take away our rights to defend ourselves when you have your armed security guards and security guards that surround you everywhere you go because you're famous. Bob, I'm so sorry what happened in this town. Great people here.
Thank you so much for being here.
Our thoughts and prayers are with you.
Sir.
All right, when we come back, you're going to meet a husband. His wife died in his arms Sunday night at this Las Vegas shooting. And you'll hear stories of heroism that will literally open your heart as we continue from Vegas. Welcome back to Hannity. We're broadcasting live. We are in Las Vegas tonight. Joining us now, Tony Berditis is with us. His wife, Denise, died in his arms Sunday night after the gunman opened fire. Also with us is Kelly Huff and her daughter, Cassidy Huff. Cassidy, battling cancer, finished chemo treatments just prior to attending the concert the other night. As she was running, she was helped off by police, off-duty officers, when she became too weak to run after the shooting started. By the way, thank you all for being with us. Really, really appreciate it. Tony, you're married 32 years.
32 years, yes, sir.
And you have 2 kids. Tell us what happened. And your wife died in your arms.
32 years, every day was better. 2 kids and 4 grandchildren, and the 5th one was on the way. I want the world to know Denise. She had a beautiful smile, and she was a great person. Loved her grandchildren. We were at the concert, and is that what you? From the concert, we initially heard the first round of gunfire. Didn't think it was gunfire. She actually asked me, and I told her no. The second round started, and I knew it was. And I grabbed her by the hand and tried to make it out.
How close was she to you when this happened?
She was right at me, and
right next to you.
When we went to leave,
caught her in your arms.
We were holding hands, and when she was struck, she was behind me. I turned and looked at her.
Struck in the head.
Yes, sir.
It's unfathomable to me. I mean, we had John Rich on the program, Kaya Jones. They were upstage. Remember God Bless America?
Absolutely.
About an hour before.
Great.
Unbelievable. How's your family?
They're doing well. We all have our ups and downs, but they're doing well. They've supporting one another back home, and we're ready to get Denise home and let everything start to heal.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry for all that you're going through and all that you've been through. Cassidy, you're a young woman. You just finished your last chemo when?
It was in August, the first week of school for Nevada.
And you're just beginning to feel better.
Yes.
And the concert was a big deal to you. Mm-hmm. You've been there before, I think, or
no? I
the
wanted
first time?
to. Yeah.
So the shooting breaks out. Obviously, chemo weakens everybody.
Yeah.
Tell us what happened. You started running.
Yeah, we started running, trying to beat the crowd, and it was very scary because I didn't want to get trampled because I'm so weak. And my mom lifted me up through like some type of pretzel stand or something, and then we ran from there. But it was like a bad dream where you want to run so fast, but you can't because my legs just wouldn't let me.
Yeah.
So it was frustrating.
You're still recovering. I mean, you've been through a very tough treatment. And I know people at home will want to know, you do have a pretty good prognosis right now.
Yes.
And so far, scans are clean.
Yes.
Mom, a bunch of people came over to your daughter. I'm calling you Mom. Kelly, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
But you're
Mom's a nice title.
Off-duty police officers. It's tough to carry a kid. Tell us what they did for your daughter.
Well, as soon as we had crossed the street initially, she basically collapsed behind a car and just couldn't go. And before I could think about what to do, an LAPD officer just scooped her up and said, keep running. And his girlfriend grabbed my hand, and we continued to run and take cover behind another dumpster. Long Beach officers then meet us. They didn't know each other. They met us also behind that car and then asked us to keep running. And he told his wife to get the car and take us home and come back for him later. So we were home by 11:15, which is a miracle.
Wow. Did you get a chance to talk to him again?
No, I haven't talked to them yet. My parents have.
We found him today.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very hard, I guess, for all of you. You know, here we are on TV. I do 4 hours on air a day. The country races into a big debate over gun control. You lost your wife. When you hear that and then maybe juxtapose it versus what the president said today, what is the right thing for the country to do and how to handle it?
Shauna, it was a tragedy Sunday night. I still will never give up my rights.
Still never
give up my rights.
You know, and that's the thing. When something's happening, you want those officers. You want, if it's a close quarter situation like San Bernardino, and they drop their clip, or any of these other instances in schools where they've done it. You know, if there's somebody there, they can help. Amazing people. Listen, what do you want to be when you get older?
I want to be a pediatric nurse.
Wow. And you're inspired by the nurses that, yeah. All right, you're in our prayers. God bless you, okay? Thank you for coming by. Our thoughts and prayers. I'm so sorry. I really am.
Just the world to know Denise and her smile. If you haven't seen it yet, you need to find it.
32 years.
32 years.
And our prayers are with your family and your grandkids and your children. Ma'am, this is a special girl.
I know she is.
All right, God bless you all. We appreciate it. When we come back, more Hannity right after this from Vegas.
I want to congratulate you on a job well done. I mean, sir, the professionalism. I just left the hospital, and I have to tell you, the doctors, the nurses, everybody over there was incredible. And at numerous hospitals.
Thank you for doing it.
Wow, they were really, I met a lot of the patients, and you saved them. And the doctors, nurses, all of the people at the hospitals. But you showed the world, and the world is watching, and you showed what professionalism is all about.
That was more from President Trump earlier today, praising all these brave first responders for their actions during this Las Vegas massacre. Now, we're now able to literally, we're able to see law enforcement, what they faced Sunday during the horrific shooting through their body cam footage that was released by the Las Vegas Metro Police. Look at what these officers, next time there's an incident, are we going to give these guys the benefit of the doubt, the presumption of innocence till they're proven guilty? All of those that rush to judgment, look at what they go through every day.
Go that way, go that way, go that way. Hey, they're shooting right at us, guys. Everybody stay down. Stay down. Where's it at? North of the Mandalay Bay. It's coming out of a window.
Joining us now with Reaction, Fox News senior correspondent Adam Housley and 23-year veteran of the Vegas Police Department, Randy Sutton. Good to see you, my friend.
It's always a pleasure.
Sir, good to see you. All right, so you saw the body cam. It brings those of us that maybe don't understand what police officers go through every day up close and personal. That's the real deal.
This was a reality check. Those that very dramatic footage revealed the bravery, revealed the leadership that these law enforcement officers had. And you know, this is not an everyday occurrence to have gunfire rain down upon you with that kind of fusillade. What these officers did, taking charge, saving lives, was really demonstrated the best of law enforcement.
You know, I mentioned San Bernardino. I'm going to put Vegas aside for a second here. I mentioned some of these school shootings where they're firing and firing away. The clip, they drop it, they're reloading. Right. You know, I know so many people want to take away people's rights to keep, bear arms, carry weapons. We showed the statistics. But if I'm in a room and this guy dropped his clip and somebody in that room has a weapon and is used and trained in the use of that weapon, I want them there because they can save the rest of the room's lives.
Absolutely. And there have been so many documented cases where good citizens did exactly that. And that's why George Bush created the law that allows retired law enforcement officers to carry their weapons all over the country.
We want that.
Of course we want that.
I want a former military, a former police officer in every school in the country. You know, there are no gun-free zones. How about we make it safety zones? And this way, if somebody gets in there, at least we have a fighting chance to get these people that would commit evil against innocent people.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of heroic people out there that have demonstrated that they are willing and they're able, from their skill level and also from their courage level, to step in when that's needed.
Okay, you've been investigating all day. What do you got?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, up what Mike said, they revealed heroes. Yeah, that video reveals heroes. Not only first responders, but others who were not first responders who became first responders because they had no choice.
Like the dispatch audio.
Unbelievable.
Wow. I mean, they're going up against a machine gun.
Yeah, and what's interesting, too, a couple of things. If you look at that video, it's very interesting. One, it shows what the first tactical teams had to look at, and also kind of shows why there might be some conspiracy theories out of here. That building is mirrored. You have the lights, and if you look at some of the video up in the corners, the guys are ducking down, you can see flashes what look like coming from the West Tower, which is nowhere near where he was shooting from. And it's because of those mirrored reflections, basically, of the gunfire that had even some of the officers responding, trying to figure out exactly which floor he was on. So they cleared 3 floors before they got to his room. They cleared the one below, above, and the course.
And then, by the way, they were there in 11 minutes. Yeah. These guys were amazing. You're a reporter. I know because we're friends and we stay in touch with each other. I've never seen a case like this where it's like we're dealing with a ghost here. Something isn't right. We don't know what it is. Right. I don't know if it's connected to the girlfriend, and I'm not going to speculate like others in the media. I'm not building. Right. There's something really off here.
I've talked to 4 different investigators somehow connected to this case. They all say the same thing, exactly what you just said. They all have theories. I don't want to reveal any of those theories because it doesn't do us any good to do that. But they're looking at nothing. I'll tell you right this, Sean, nothing has been eliminated. They're like, listen, nobody does this. Nobody plans 2 months in advance, they believe, at least, for no reason. So they believe there's something there. They don't know what it is, and they're just going to have to dig. And they said that they're dedicated because what happened to find.
I talked to the shooter's brother today. He says he has no idea where this came from.
They've caught him in some misstatements.
We'll watch. You're a hero. Thank you.
Thank
You're an amazing reporter and a friend. Thank you for what you do. Thank you. Appreciate it. When we come back, you're going to meet real heroes. 2 doctors, over 500 people. They had to treat these victims of this shooting. Their stories are unbelievable as we continue tonight from Vegas.
I just have to tell you that I just met some of the most amazing people. We met patients that were absolutely terribly wounded, and the doctors, the nurses, all of the people at the hospital have done a job that's indescribable. What I saw today is just an incredible tribute to professionalism, and what they have done is incredible, and you never want to see it again. That I can tell you. You know what? But
that was the president earlier today praising the actions of all the doctors who worked to save the lives of the hundreds of shooting victims on Sunday. Joining us now is Clark County Fire Department Chief Greg Castle. He was at the scene of the shooting. Also with us, Dr. Scott Shear and Dr. Kevin Menace. Both helped patients wounded by this gunman. Guys, you're amazing heroes. How many patients did you guys see as this was unfolding?
So we saw 200 patients at Sunrise Hospital.
Most of them came in probably within the first hour and a half.
And how many may have died without the care you're offering?
Can't even quantify that. I mean, the job that our staff did, physicians, nurses, volunteers, ancillary staff, is just absolutely amazing. The response that we got, we had 100 physicians show up that night after they were called. We had 100 nurses.
And you practice for this, I saw, like twice a year?
Yeah, about twice a year.
Yeah, amazing. Doctor, I know, by the way, all the law enforcement guys here love you because you work with law enforcement and you've helped them a lot. Tell us about that dreadful time for you.
You know, I don't take the dreadful part. You know, I think everything that we did that night as a team, I don't regret anything that we did. I think we saved every life that could have possibly be saved. You know, there were over 200 people that were dropped off at our ER in less than an hour.
Wow. And I guess it's sort of like a war zone. You have to prioritize the severity of the injuries, and you went through that process?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it's part of mass casualty is the triage process, is making sure that the patient that is deemed red or the sickest patient gets to the areas, either into the operating suite or in front of a ER doc or a trauma surgeon right away.
And you're looking at these people, and I just have a lot of friends that are doctors, and I know you're thinking, I got to get this dad home. I got to get this kid home to their parents. Does that go through your mind, or you can't go there?
You know, in the moment, while I was doing it, I had seconds. I had 200 patients come into the ER in, you know, a 60-minute time period. And I'm pulling patients out. I was the doctor who's pulling the patients out of the car. So I'm the one who's making the initial judgment call of whether or not these patients were, you know, red tags, patients who are going to die within seconds or minutes. You know, yellow tags, these patients who are going to die in minutes or hours, or green tags, they probably will be fine, you know, or possibly they could get worse. But, you know, I had seconds to do this. But, you know, Hannity, what was amazing about this whole thing was the patients were the greatest patients I have ever taken care of. You know, I got Ubers, taxis, you know, Metro Squad cars, you know, Clark County Fire, City Fire. Everybody was taking patients.
How about this guy? He's the fire chief.
Everybody was taking patients.
Honor to meet you, all you guys. You were there as that's happening. These guys, you try and get them to the hospital as fast as possible.
Yes.
This reminds me of 9/11. I was in New York on 9/11. This reminds me of all hands on deck. I know you must be so proud of your team.
I'm very proud of our fire department, all the Valley Fire Departments, and our private ambulance partners, AMR and Community. They did a great job that night. Everybody amassed a ton of resources to be able to transport patients, to take care of people in the streets. Some people did go by car, but not as many of them after we had laid hands on them. We just they decided to go by car. They didn't want to take an ambulance, so they weren't as critically wounded. But this was an unreal, surreal scene out here that night. It was nothing like I've ever seen in 30 years of being involved in this industry.
30 years, and you're now the head of the department, and you've known these guys, I assume, in the past, or you know the people at the hospital.
I know many people at the hospital, yeah. So,
look, you know, we sometimes throw around the word hero. Sometimes all of you, what you did for people in their hour of need and the lives you guys saved. You know, we're a grateful nation because we have people with the skill that you guys have and the courage to work under such heavy pressure, stress, and under fire like that. Thank you all for what you did. Really appreciate it. Thank you all.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks. When we come back, we're going to talk about how this has been politicized. Kaya Jones, Tommy Lahren, straight ahead from Vegas. And welcome back to Hannity as we continue from Vegas. And joining us now, Fox News contributor Tommy Lahren, recording artist. She was on stage an hour before this all happened. Kaya Jones is with us. You know, all these celebrities, Hollywood, celebrities, congressmen, politicians, they didn't, bodies weren't even cold, okay? And I understand we should have a passionate debate. I laid out some facts tonight. Here's the thing. Most of those people live in big, fat, gated communities. They have security systems that are the envy of the world. They go out in public and they have bodyguards, some armed, some not. Jimmy Kimmel, I'm sure, has how many security guards in his studio every night? I'll take a bet on that, you know, in case, somebody rushes the stage during the taping. And I'm like, what about the rest of the country that wants to protect themselves in an evil and dangerous world.
That feels empowered with a firearm, that is able to protect themselves. Now they're saying, well, this situation, they wouldn't have been able to protect themselves. This is one situation. What about the hundreds that happen every single day where someone with a gun, a good guy with a gun that's trained, stopped a situation? I know for one, I feel much more safe when I have someone that's ex-military, ex-police officer around me with a firearm. I feel much more safe and secure.
Yeah, and if you're in a no-go zone or a shooting breaks out, San Bernardino, they dropped the clip and reloaded. That's called an opportunity to save lives.
100%. I don't understand how less guns equate less madmen. Okay? It doesn't. And that's the argument. The constant argument is about weapons, weapons, weapons. It's about guns, legislation, all of this. People just died. This is my hometown. Tommy went to UNLV. You know, Kimmel, if you're from Vegas, where are you?
Hockey coach.
Where are you?
Got shot.
Where are you?
And his father was here last night. Got shot in the chest. The UNLV hockey coach. You know, here's my question to them. Somebody, God forbid, breaks into your house.
Yeah.
You have your wife, you have your kids, you have your girlfriend, you have whoever's there. Okay, they break in there armed. By their very nature, criminals don't obey laws. My question to them, what are you going to do to protect your family?
And beyond that, you and I both know this, but to those out there that want to lecture us on gun sense, gun safety, if someone's going to go to the 32nd floor of a hotel and they're hell-bent on murdering thousands of people, do you really think they're going to be like, well, you know, the law says I can't have this weapon. The law says I shouldn't have this many guns.
They'll just build it.
And then they had to tenorize this compound that's like napalm. This guy had it. So if you have evil intentions in your heart,
you'll find a way.
You're going to find a way.
We'll use explosives. That's the thing with these celebrities that are talking. Ariana Grande, look what happened at her concert, another tragedy. Explosives. They're going to find a way. Look what happened in Boston.
The
Criminals, terrorists, psychos, they don't obey our laws. They don't care about your gun control. And if anything, when you have a gun-free zone, you're neutering everyone there.
The people, if they're watching, they hate our opinion. What is the net result? Okay, we're going to have this check or that check. This guy got checked. You know, if we can improve the system so mentally ill people don't get a hold of guns, I'm open for improvements that are common sense, but also support our constitutional rights for law-abiding citizens to protect themselves and their family. Because eventually they're going to find other ways to kill us.
100%. They'll find many ways.
And we're seeing it in Europe.
Or they'll use a car, or a box cutter, or a bomb.
Or they'll strap a...
Or they'll build the gun.
Or a
it's not
suicide
available.
vest.
That's right. There's no, I mean, this is not a time to rhetoric, scream, politics, politics, politics. The day after it happened, it began politics about the guns.
I've carried a gun my entire adult life.
I feel better with a gun in my life.
Yeah.
Period.
Here's my question, though. Why are we spending all this time, not us, but others in the news and others in the celebrity sphere, why are they spending all their time analyzing what kind of guns he used, how many he had? I want to know more about him, to be honest. I want to know more about his girlfriend. I want to know about the victims. I want to know about their families, as you've done.
Don't you find there's something off here?
Where
really
there's smoke,
off.
There's fire. Normally when these incidents happen, you know everything about the person, you know every Facebook page they've ever been on, every post they've ever made, you know everyone that they've ever known, everyone they went to high school with, and now all of a sudden all we're talking about is the weapons that he used and the firearms he used. No, something stinks.
I know this is both your hometowns. Our thoughts and prayers with all of your friends that live here and all the trauma they've suffered.
Sean, you're here. You're handling it. You know, you're doing a great thing for this nation.
You know what?
Yeah.
We've got to pray for these families. They're
Vegas
suffering.
We need it. We need prayers right now.
All right. That's all the time we have left there this evening. Thank you both for being with us. As always, thank all of you. We will not be the mainstream media, fair and balanced. This is not left-wing, radical, ideological news. Brian Kilmeade's next live, and we're going to leave you with this powerful moment of the crowd. 1 hour, Kyle is on stage. We're singing God Bless America with Big and Rich.